Finally, when they reached the second floor and stopped outside the door of a wealthy apartment, and the general took hold of the bell pull, the prince decided to flee definitively, but one odd circumstance stopped him for a moment. "You're mistaken, General," he said. "The name on the door is Kolakov, and you're ringing for Sokolovich." Kolakov doesn't prove anything. It's Sokolovich's apartment, and I'm ringing for Sokolovich. I spit on Kolakov, and, you see, they're opening. The door indeed opened. A footman peeped out and announced that the masters aren't at home, sir. Too bad, as if on purpose, Ardalian Alexandrovich repeated several times with the deepest regret. "Tell them, my dear fellow, that General Ivolgin and Prince Mishkin wished to pay their personal respects and were extremely sorry." At that moment another face peeped from inside through the open door, the housekeeper's by the look of it, perhaps even the governess's, a lady of about 40, wearing a dark dress. She approached with curiosity and mistrust on hearing the names of General Ivolgin and Prince Mishkin. "Marya Alexandrovna is not at home," she said, studying the general in particular. "She took the young lady, Alexandra Mikhailovna, to visit her grandmother." "And Alexandra Mikhailovna went with her? Oh, God, what bad luck." "And imagine, madam, I always have such bad luck. I humbly ask you to give her my greetings, and to remind Alexandra Mikhailovna in short, convey to her my heartfelt wish for that which she herself wished for on Thursday, in the evening, to the strains of Chopin's Ballade, she'll remember, my heartfelt wish." General Ivolgin and Prince Mishkin. "I won't forget, sir," the lady bowed out, having become more trustful. Going downstairs, the general, his fervor not yet cooled, continued to regret the failure of the visit and that the prince had been deprived of such a charming acquaintance. "You know, my dear, I'm something of a poet in my soul, have you noticed that?" "But anyhow, it seems we didn't go to exactly the right place," he suddenly concluded quite unexpectedly. "The Sokoloviches, I now recall, live in another house, and it seems they're even in Moscow now." Yes, I was slightly mistaken, but that's no matter. I'd only like to know one thing, the prince remarked dejectedly. Am I to stop counting on you entirely and go ahead on my own? To stop counting? On your own? But why on earth, when for me it's a capital undertaking, upon which so much in the life of my whole family depends? No, my young friend, you don't know Ivolgin yet. Whoever says? Ivolgin says a wall, trust in Ivolgin as in a wall, that's what I used to say in the squadron where I began my service. It's just that I'd like to stop on the way at a certain house, where my soul has found repose these several years now, after anxieties and trials. You want to stop at home? No. I want to see Mrs. Terentiev, the widow of Captain Terentiev, my former subordinate, and even friend, there, in her house. I am reborn in spirit and there I bring the sorrows of my personal and domestic life, and since today I precisely bear a great moral burden, It seems to me that I did a very foolish thing anyway, the prince murmured, in troubling you earlier. And besides that, you're now, goodbye. But I cannot let you go, my young friend. The general roused himself. A widow, the mother of a family, and from her heart she produces chords to which my whole being responds. The visit to her is a matter of 5 minutes, in that house I behave without ceremony. I almost live there, I'll wash, do the most necessary brushing up, and then we'll take a cab to the Bolshoi Theatre. You can be sure I shall have need of you for the whole evening. Here's the house. We've arrived. Ah, Kolya, you're already here. Well, is Marfa Borisovna at home, or have you only just arrived? Oh, no, replied Kolya, who had run right into them in the gateway. I've been here for a long time, with Hippolyte. He's worse, he stayed in bed this morning. I went down to the grocer's just now for a deck of cards. Marfa Borisovna's expecting you. Only, Papa, you're so. Kolya broke off, studying the general's gait and bearing. Oh, well, come on. The meeting with Kolya induced the prince to accompany the general to Marfa Borisovna's as well, but only for a minute. The prince needed Kolya. As for the general, he decided to abandon him in any case, and could not forgive himself for venturing to trust him earlier. They climbed up for a long time, to the fourth floor, and by the back stairs. You want to introduce the prince? Kolya asked on the way. Yes, my friend, I want to introduce him, General Ivolgin and Prince Mishkin, but what, how, Marfa Borisovna? You know, Papa, it would be better if you didn't go in. She'll eat you up. It's the third day you haven't poked your nose in there, and she's been waiting for money. Why did you promise her money? You're always like that. Now you'll have to deal with it. On the fourth floor they stopped outside a low door. The general was visibly timid and shoved the prince forward. And I'll stay here, he murmured. I want it to be a surprise. Kolya went in first. Some lady, in heavy red and white makeup, wearing slippers and a jerkin, her hair plaited in little braids, about 40 years old, looked out the door, and the general's surprise unexpectedly blew up. The moment the lady saw him, she shouted,